Hi, Dean.
Hey, mate, how are you?
Yeah, pretty well.
Pretty well. Well, what we're going to do here is we're going to give everyone a minute or two to just sort of tune in. Anyone who's interested, of course, other people might not be, but we're going to launch into this fairly efficiently, mate. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dean McRae. I'm the Liberal Democrat candidate for the Riverina in the upcoming federal election, and I'm running a campaign called the Riverina Rebellion. We had our launch on Wednesday night, just gone. It was a mass success. We raised some good dollars. We had an all-star cast of wonderful liberty-loving people, including some of my opposition candidates for the federal election, because I've been flying the flag for a unity amongst the small parties and the independents. But tonight, as some of you may know, the ones who have been tuning in regularly on a Monday night, I get a guest on, and we discuss different policies in the Freedom Manifesto and other things relevant to liberty and freedom in Australia. So I welcome everybody who tunes in now and those who watch later. Great to have you all on board. Thank you for your support. Thank you to everybody who showed up to the Riverina Rebellion event the other night. We had people from as far as Melbourne and Dubbo and Queensland, North Queensland, show up. So it was a hell of an event, particularly on a Wednesday night. It was fantastic. So big thank you to everybody involved in helping me pull that off. We can only perform so many miracles on our own. Now, tonight for Riverina Rebellion, I've got a special guest. He's making his digital interview debut, so to speak. I've known the fellow for a few years. I'm really happy to have him on board. We've got Michael Glover. Now, Michael is the candidate for the Liberal Democrats in the upcoming federal election in the electorate of Cunningham. Michael, give us an introduction, tell the people who you are and where they can find you. Let's start from there.
Yeah, I'm Michael Glover. I'm the Liberal Democrats candidate for Cunningham. So that's Wollongong, most of south, central, northern Wollongong, up to southern Sydney there. Father of three with a fourth on the way, so I'm a pretty busy man. I work full-time in aged care, so that's been a very interesting sort of time over the last couple of years, to say the least. And on the weekends, I'll mostly spend time with the family, visiting the extended family, that sort of thing. And so I've been a member of the party now for about 6 years. As much as I love the first point of our Freedom Manifesto in ending COVID alarmism, I am very passionate about our other 9 principles, which is why I'm sort of here to chat a bit about our making superannuation voluntary and ending that sort of government compulsion to it.
Mate, look, that's fantastic. And as most of us in this space do, we do love the Freedom Manifesto. I think the guys who put it together have done a magnificent job. No pressure or anything, but you're following up on former Premier of Queensland last week, Campbell Newman. So, no pressure whatsoever. You should blow him into the weeds, mate. But no, look, I really appreciate you. And I know you've been in the space for a long time. You haven't been a public face in the space, but you've certainly been there working hard. I can vouch for that. Mate, voluntary superannuation, it's a controversial policy. Not that most of ours don't count as a little bit controversial at various occasions for various people. What's your take on it? The actual framing of it is just make superannuation voluntary. What's your initial take, and then we'll go from there, and we'll have a little bit of a discussion about why it's good, bad, indifferent.
Yeah, well, I mean, like all our policies, it's about freedom. A lot of people don't see super as their money. It's not your money, but it is. It's your money that you've worked for. It's just because it doesn't come into your bank account, you don't see it. You can't choose to, invest it in different things or spend it at certain points if you want to. So it's really about adding that freedom into your finances.
Mate, I think that's hugely important. I've been through a lot of stuff. I've got a self-managed super fund, and let me tell you, just keeping up with the rigmarole involved in that is off the chart, and it's expensive. I mean, they try to discourage we working folk from controlling our own money as much as possible. I mean, you may be in a big industry super fund. I don't know your personal circumstances. I was in one for many years, and there's a certain element of safety and security in that. For me, if somebody's going to lose my money, I'd rather it be me. I'm under my own steam, and that's a personal choice that I think I should be entitled to make, as people should be entitled to choose, a major super fund if they so choose. And if they're doing a good job, people will stay with them. And if they're not, or if people want to do their own thing, I think that's a fantastic option that people should have. We keep trying to put everybody into the same box, and these cardboard cutout rules just does my head in. So what we've done with sorry, no, go.
No, people think superannuation's quite simple. They think, they take 10% of your income and they put it in this little fund where it outperforms the bank, and you get a nice little return on that you wouldn't get if you just put it in the bank. Then you reach an age where you're a bit older, you're retiring, your body's not quite up to it, and then you've got this lovely little nest egg to sit out and relax without working for it. And that's just really not the case for many, many people. That's just sort of what we're told.
Yeah, look, it is a bit of a false spin. And it was also supposed to alleviate a lot of the problems with the aged care pension and things like that. And it just never adds up. It's like most government promises. They start at A and end up at L. There's just no logic to it, and it doesn't carry, or rarely does it hold true.
Exactly. We were told it would cut the age pension, and it's gone up.
Yeah, it's like most government programs. It just always comes back to the same thing. Is it doesn't hold water. Sometimes it sounds good on paper, but in the harsh reality of it, we don't get those sort of results. Now, in the manifesto here, and I'm just going to sort of point out a couple of key things here. Australians pay about $36 billion worth of superannuation fees alone.
In 1 year.
That's a staggering number, isn't it?
Yeah.
So 36 billion are going to these super fund companies to justify their existence. And I think for me, the biggest issue with that is it's not voluntary.
Exactly.
The government takes 10%. They want to increase it, which is a complete farce. I'm dead against that. But they take this money forcibly from you. It really is another tax. And they say, we're going to give it to these fund managers, of which they get 36 billion in fees annually. It's, that's organised crime, really.
It's crazy. And, if we did make it voluntary, they wouldn't, they'd have to compete for your business. Right now, they're just competing against each other, trying to be a little bit better than the other guy. But if they have to convince you, come and put your money in a super fund, don't save up for an investment property or do your own shares without the red tape of the self-managed super fund, that's going to save a big chunk of that 36 billion, I think it was.
It's not a bad route to be in on, really, if you can get it. I need to find a business that I can build people 36 billion a year for, and then get the government to enforce me to have to use it. I mean, it's phenomenal, really, when you think about it from that perspective. Now, the next little phase here that we've got in the I've got it up on my laptop here, so I've got a separate screen just so I can read my head around the whole lot. So different people have different savings needs. Now, you live a very different life to me. I live a very different life to you. I know other people who have very different circumstances, different financial constraints, different expectations too. Some people want to live in a big house on the hill. Some people are happy with a cottage in the woods. So wouldn't it make sense? Now, wouldn't it make sense? Tell me if I'm wrong. For you to be able to control where the money you earn goes far more than the government taking it and investing it on your behalf. Now,
exactly.
You could invest in a house. Some people might see that money that's going to superannuation would be a deposit for a house and a mortgage over X amount of years paid off. They've got a roof over their head, the old Australian dream of owning your own home. Other people like me, I diversify my super. So I've taken control of it as much as I possibly can. And I've stocks and shares and bonds and gold and silver and different bits and pieces, all within the amount of money that's in that fund. Isn't it just treating people like children to sort of manage, babysit their finances, or worse still, pay 36 billion in fees for some other lunatic to manage your money without you having any real input. Does that not seem pretty bad to you? It's a rort.
Yeah, it is. It's it's the government, typical government. Oh, we don't trust you to be able to support yourself once you finish working. We don't trust you to put money away. We don't trust your investments. We're going to force you to do this. We're going to take 10% of your income. That's your money. This isn't government money. That's your money. We're going to take that. And by the way, you've got to pay these massive fees for the right to do that.
It doesn't feel right to me. It never did. Hence why even my account said to me, "You're not making enough money. You haven't got enough money in your super fund to have a self-managed super fund. What do you want to do it for?" And ironically enough, when I did set the thing up, I went through all the rigmarole. Took me ages because I'm not that way inclined. So I did lots of research, lots of form filling out, lots of asking accountants, friends, and whatever questions. And as soon as I applied, I actually got audited the week that I applied. And my accountant just laughed. He just went, "Mate, that doesn't happen very often." Like he found it very strange that I was audited so quickly in the process. And they did. They put me through the ringer. I had to have phone interviews and justify all this nonsense to want to be able to control where my own money's being invested. Well, what qualifications do you have to be able to invest your own money? What qualifications have you got to ask me how I want to invest my own money? Bugger off, mate. It was a very interesting experience, and it was a good learning experience, but it did open my eyes to a lot of the they do not want you operating outside of the system.
It's deliberate. All that paperwork for self-managed super funds is very deliberate. Yeah, they don't want people doing it. They think that's just people trying to get out of the compulsory super.
Yeah, not to mention the annual paperwork and annual nonsense that's affiliated with the whole thing. It's absolutely mental.
The endless government red tape.
Well and truly, mate. Well and truly. Now, in the actual manifesto, there's 3 key points that we've highlighted. Have you got them in front of you? Did you want to read them out, or do you want me to read them out?
Yeah. I mean, basically, we just want to make super contributions voluntary. And look, if we can't do that, we want to cap the increases. I mean, what is the chances of your employer giving you a pay rise if he's having to up your super every year? It's not going to happen. The money's going to come from somewhere, and that's going to be your income.
Isn't it interesting that they do forget about that? They just go, "Oh, well, the employer's just going to give you an extra 2 or 3% in super."
Yeah, they just think it just appears.
Magically produce it. Like it's just, you can tell that these people have only ever worked government paid jobs.
Exactly. Yeah, the answer is more bureaucracy. The third point, we want to cut the red tape. So people like yourself who's doing the self-managed super fund, which I admire. I wouldn't do it myself, but I admire it. Just make that easier. It's your money. You want to invest it, you go do that.
And look, and I accept as well that there's always a chance that we're going to lose it, and there's plenty of room to. That's the risk you take. I mean, I'm a natural risk taker. I can't help myself, but it's. I just think that people should have the option, and it should be simplified so that people can. It's there are positives to superannuation, no doubt about it. I think it's a great concept, but it's like a lot of concepts; they still should be voluntary to participate in. Like it's always that voluntary thing I end up going back to, because I'm not a financial expert. Christ, I'm the last thing, but I do like to absorb my own risks, and I do like to take. That's just how I am. If I'm going to be investing in something, I want to work it out, good, bad, or indifferent, and then cop said consequences. But maybe one day I'll look in that fund and there's $1 million out. Doubt it, but hey, we're going to give it a crack. The other side is if you lose some, well, you lose some. That's life. I think this government thing where we've got to be protected against ourselves at all costs is only going to. It just gets worse and snowballs, and the government grows and grows. It's an interesting problem, mate. So how come you haven't got your own self-managed super fund? Why don't you give it a crack? You'll be right.
I don't have the time for that. So I guess like a lot of people, when I was at high school and uni, I had a few part-time jobs and not earning enough money, not earning a great wage, not working many hours. So you just take the fund they give you, a little bit of money sits there. And then when you get your first real job, your first full-time job, you sit down, You do a bit of research, you get a good one that's, good returns, reasonable fees, that sort of thing. And you go to, consolidate them, what they call it, and it's all been eaten. Well, the fees have just eaten the whole accounts, and it's all these, these young kids, well, young to me, I guess, coming up, getting their first or second jobs, and that's where a lot of these fees are coming from, that they don't get back. They're not seeing the returns on it.
Yeah. Now, one second. Actually, I don't normally do questions or comments here, but I will, because Stephen Bisgrove's a wonderful human, and he's a brilliant accountant, and he knows the space very well. 3 trillion in superannuation funds held, which, we know that. That's a massive amount of money. And he's correct that 36 billion spread over all those funds is probably, as a percentage, not outrageous. I guess I still always come back to on that is it still should be voluntary. People should choose to be part of it. It's not a scam. It's a wonderful scam. People argue the same with taxation, and I guess, again, it's taxation can be used really well. It can do some amazing things. The hospitals are, I wouldn't want to defund hospitals. We can do some great things. There's no doubt about it. I always sort of look for hang on, but where's the opt-out to not participate in those portions of society if you don't want it? I'm not saying I'm not saying that if the option to not pay the Medicare levy was there that I wouldn't want to pay it. Actually, I can see some value in that. I'd be more than happy to pay it. I just like this, I'd like a bit. I always joke that I'd like to see most of the government run as a bit of a GoFundMe. If people want it, they'll opt in as opposed to being forced to opt in and not. That'd be my just variation. I think as a concept, superannuation is a lovely idea, and you're right, Stephen. But it's just that voluntary aspect, and there are going to be people who are going to make bad decisions. Hell, I've made a million of them. I'm the first bloke to put my hand up to say that, but I just sort of think that at the end of the day, as consenting adults, we should always be able to operate in and around, certainly regarding our own finances. And the final little bit of comment was the audit's compulsory to stop people with no skill. Look, for sure, I totally get it. It is a safety net, but again, the option should just be there. And if people don't want it, they shouldn't have to have it. And we can easily say, well, and we make the old age pension or whatever contingent if the taxpayers are funding it on, there's a million ways to tweak the rules or whatever, but for me, it's just this the whole voluntary aspect,
Super's brilliant. I was a contractor for a number of years, and I still had my super fund. Back then the sort of the government set amount was 9 or something, so I just did 10%. It was much easier when I was doing all my BAS and everything. I think most people would keep doing super, and it would be the smart thing to do. But again, it's coming back to that, the Liberal Democrats' freedom policies. Yeah. And that's what it is.
And I suppose the other thing too would be, in the event that we got our wish and we had a $40,000 tax-free threshold for Australians, you could again, but it's about putting more money in people's day-to-day pocket. If you've got, say 100,000 in super, but you can't pay your rent or your mortgage, it's no good to you. As recent times have shown, it's a safety net for sure. It's wonderful if things are going well, but if you need that extra, $100, couple $100 a week or whatever it is you may be getting in your super fund, you may need that to keep the lights on or put food on the table, or it just comes back to every circumstance is so different. It sort of just is what it is. But as far as that goes, Michael, look, I think as a bit of a final thing. Oh, where'd he go? Oh, I don't know. It's his first go doing. Everybody who just tuned in, that was Michael Glover. Hang on, he's coming back. I'll get him back in here. That's a stream.
Sorry, Dean, wrong button.
Mate, if you don't like me, just say so. I'm used to people not always liking me. I get it. I was about to do a big outro and tell everyone how wonderful you are. But, mate, look, as far as the policy goes, look, I think it's a good policy. I certainly understand a man like Stephen Bisgrove's, and anybody who knows Stephen and my relationship, I love the man to bits, and I'm absolutely convinced he's brilliant. And usually it's only that little tweak where we differ on certain things. which, hey, that's normal. That's life. As always, some great points. Michael, I think the key thing is, as you said, it's about the voluntarist aspect. You should be able to tune in to certain programs that you want to be able to tune in and opt out of the ones you don't. If the superannuation is better off in your pocket for now to get you through day-to-day life, we think that should be on the table for you. It's not up to the government to choose which life is appropriate for them to approve of, because let's be fair, a lot of those guys.
If you're a low-income earner and the government's taking 10% of your income, that could make a massive difference to your quality of life.
When you plus tax, plus all the taxes. Yeah. And that's what it's about. Real world policies and platforms to try and make things better for the individual, because strong individuals make strong societies. There's no doubt about it. The stronger the individual is, the better you are at your life, the better you can manage your family and raise your kids with your wife. You know what I mean? And a lot of this stuff is, and it's all, they're building blocks. One without the other doesn't work, and bits and pieces in between. That's part of the problem. But mate, look, I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate everyone who does tune into this. It's interesting. UAP gun grabbing zealots, mate. Look, as far as all that goes, I don't normally do this, but I will tonight. Clive Palmer's anti-gun. Clive Palmer's lots of things. We don't answer to Clive, or certainly not that I'm aware of. We've done a 1-2 preference deal. We believe that for this federal election, all the smaller, minor freedom parties, for all of our differences, have to work together until this federal election is over to really take it to the majors. They've been using divide and conquer for many years. I disagree with Clive Palmer on plenty of stuff, but for now, the bigger problem we have is getting everybody on the same page, and by God, that's challenging. I've had meetings with just about every minor political party in Australia, certainly trying to build enough unity to really make a difference to this federal election. My own campaign launched the other night. I actually invited the other independent and small party candidates to speak, which is pretty well unheard of. It's my campaign launch, and I said, here's a microphone. Tell people why we should vote for you instead of me. Because it's not about me. It's about dead set bringing our government back down to heel a little bit, because they've been so out of control for the last 2 years. And hopefully, with a bit of unity, we can show the powers that be, if you will, that we are going to start working together. And on the stuff that we disagree with, well, we'll be working on that. So everyone who's interested in catching up with Michael Glover, if you're watching here or you're watching later, Michael, where do these people find you, mate? Obviously, if they're not in Cunningham, but they might want to follow you, support you, donate to your campaign. Have you got a campaign launch coming out? Where are you up to, mate, in your first federal campaign?
No campaign launch coming up yet. Got the website being built as we speak, so I won't get you to jump on that just yet. So yeah, it's just the Michael Glover Liberal Democrats for Cunningham Facebook page at the moment. It's the best place to reach out. That's got all my email and details on it as well.
Yeah, mate. Well, look, that's and it's this is your first go. What are you? 20? How old are you?
34.
22. No worries. So you got plenty of years to run. 4 kids at 22. I reckon you're doing amazingly. You don't even look aged, mate. But look, all seriousness aside, mate, you're young enough where you can still have a bit of a crack at this sort of space and bring a good, reasonable voice. We're not going to all agree on everything all the time, and I think that's a key thing here. So you've got to, even if you don't win this election, which you probably won't. Not that I'm trying to stifle your ability to win, but hey, if you do, I'll be big cheers.
No, statistically, as a minor party, there's not a great deal. But if we can get our voice heard, and
that's right, we're trying to bring alternative voices. Yeah. And mate, I think you can do really well. Look, this is your first live stream, so it's all a stepping stone. So everybody watching, jump on Facebook, check out Michael Glover for LDP Cunningham. What's the actual title for the page?
Michael Glover, Liberal Democrats candidate for Cunningham.
Perfect. So everyone jump on there, give the man a like and a share. Let your friends know. If you've got friends in the area, this is the guy we want you to vote for. Honest, legitimate guy, really trying to do his best work and raising a young family, and he's concerned enough about the state of Australia to put it all, not on hold, but certainly put it all on the line to put his head above the parapet. And I can tell you, it's not a pleasant place. You get shot at a lot, I can tell you.
It's definitely jumping in the deep end, but
mate, you got to jump in at some point. So I'm really glad to have you on the same team as me. I'm happy to work with you, and happy if I can support you in any way, I will. So everybody check out next week. I haven't worked out who I've got next week. I haven't organised that far ahead. I was busy getting the Rebellion done, and I had Michael lined up for tonight. I had Campbell last week. So I haven't worked out exactly who. Check it. I'll have somebody organised in the next couple of days, and I'll advertise that. But for now, jump on Michael Cunningham's Facebook page. If you're in the Illawarra, share it. Check out Dean McRae, Liberal Democrats for regional New South Wales. We haven't swapped it over to Riverina yet. Facebook doesn't like if you change your page names too often or something. I don't know, it's an algorithm thing or something. But Dean McRae for Liberal Democrats, regional New South Wales. I've also got Twitters. I've got Resolute TV, which is my main YouTube channel. I've got, what have I got? I've got Instagram. I've got all that sort of stuff, pretty easy to find. So anybody who says they can't find me, they're not looking real hard. And guys, look, please tune in next week and check out all the other Liberal Democrat candidates. Some are exceptional, some are first timers, some are trying it out, but they need some support and some love. And guys, have a great night. Thanks so much.